Kana and Minoru Suzuki. Two of the most decorated and popular professional wrestlers to come out of Japan, they're both well renowned for their stiff MMA-esque style and their undeniable charisma. Kana is one of the most decorated professional wrestlers on the planet currently, male or female, and has become immortal across 2 continents. Suzuki has had a career spanning 5 decades and has become notorious in every promotion he has ever been a part of. Throughout the 20 plus years they've been in the sport consecutively, they've had one total match opposite of each other, and in that time, it has widely been considered by those who have seen it as one of the most violent and uncomfortable performances that they have ever seen. A match that has sparked many conversations over the years about intergender wrestling and its acceptance into the industry, and that is what we are going to be discussing in today's video. Just like last week, this was a part of a poll that was tied with the lead result. I made the video last week and we're making this one today. As usual, if you would like to influence any future videos going forward, keep an eye out. If you do enjoy this video and you want to see more videos about all the random and cool stuff that comes from pro wrestling, be sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. With that being said, let's get right into it.
That was nice.
Meet Kana. Although she might be better known nowadays under her current ring name, Asuka. She's been wrestling for WWE since 2015 and was the first Japanese woman to sign with the company since Bull Nakano in 1994. She has done everything there is to do in the company, ranging from winning 5 world titles, including an NXT Women's title reign that remains the longest in company history, being the only woman to have won a Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, and Money in the Bank, and the second Women's Grand Slam champion in company history. I think we all know who Asuka is, but I'm willing to bet that there's a decent percentage of people in here who have very little knowledge as to who Kana is. During her time, Kana was arguably the most intimidating and feared woman in all of professional wrestling. Her face paint, how she moved, how she wrestled, she was one of the most imposing characters in the entire sport based off of presentation alone. Throughout her career in Japan, Kana mostly worked as a freelancer across many different promotions, most notably in companies such as Pro Wrestling Wave, Smash, and JWP Joshi Puroresu, the latter of which she held the Openweight Championship, the oldest championship in all of Joshi Puro at the time of their closure in 2017. She even created her own promotion and held events under the Kana Pro banner from 2010 to 2015, where she'd book shows and wrestle on them herself. It is during this time period where she booked herself to be a part of a match involving our next participant. Meet Minoru Suzuki. Since beginning his combat sports journey in 1988, Suzuki has been one of the most prevalent and accomplished names in all of Japanese wrestling. Unlike Kana, who had pretty limited options due to how promotions were in regards to having Joshi talent on their shows, Suzuki has wrestled for nearly every single promotion with even a morsel of name value in the past 22 years, in and out of Japan. He obviously spent the majority of his career in New Japan, where he won a plethora of titles. He spent time in All Japan, where he's a former Triple Crown champion, Pro Wrestling Noah, where he won both the GHC heavyweight and tag titles with Naomichi Marufuji, keep that name in mind for later, DDT, GLEAT, and that's not even counting the many other promotions in Japan that he's worked independently. Same story in America. Throughout his career, he's worked AEW, Ring of Honor, TNA, MLW, House of Glory, Defy, and many more that I'm going to refrain from naming just because it will extend the length of this video by 5 minutes. Similar to Kana, Suzuki is one of the most intimidating and imposing pro wrestlers in the 21st century. Everything about Suzuki screams murderer from his appearance, to his facial expressions, to how he wrestles. He definitely lives up to the murder grandpa nickname, as he is still doing the damn thing at fucking 56 years old. How many guys around that age do you know of that can still perform at such a high level without showing heavy signs of a decline? Anyways, as I mentioned before, Kana had her own promotion for a number of years and held a number of shows, and it was on one of these shows that she would make a tag match with Suzuki teaming with legendary women's wrestler Meiko Satomura against Kana and Naomichi Marufuji, a mainstay in Pro Wrestling Noah and Suzuki's former tag partner when they won the GHC tag titles. The match took place on June 16, 2014 and emanated from the historic Korakuen Hall in Tokyo, Japan. I will not be showing you the full match in this video, but if you would like to see it for yourself, the link will be in the description as it always is when I cover a specific match. I think we've covered everything up to this point, and let's get right into it. This mixed tag is very different from what you might be accustomed to seeing on an American scale. A lot of countries are very progressive when it comes to intergender wrestling, so you'll see it more often than not outside of the major US companies. You'll see combinations in this match like Suzuki and Marufuji, Marufuji and Meiko, Meiko and Kana, and of course Kana and Suzuki. Their first interaction in this match took place early on. Kana and Satomura exchange offense before Meiko ultimately kicks her square in the face and rolls her out of the ring, where she would continue to beat the shit out of her and hit a scoop slam to Kana on the outside. Suzuki walks over, delivers a stiff kick, drives her face first into the apron, spits it in her face and gives her some pretty tough strikes before rolling Kana back into the ring, and the match continues. A minute or so goes by and Meiko tags in Suzuki, who slaps a wrist lock onto Kana. Kana tries to roll out of it, but Suzuki puts his entire body weight onto Kana to maintain control. Suzuki grabs the other arm of Kana and stretches it in a completely different direction while remaining in the wrist lock. He eventually lets go, hits Kana in the face with his knee, tags in Meiko, and goes into the apron. After a minute or two of offense from Satomura, she tags Suzuki back in and immediately starts stomping and delivering knees to Kana. He gets her up, delivers a wicked forearm into the corner. Kana tries to deliver some offense of her own, but Suzuki isn't budging, sends her into another dimension with a forearm. Suzuki gives her a snapmare, runs into the ropes to hit a PK onto Kana. Suzuki goes to the pin and gets close to a 3, but Kana barely kicks out. Kana tries to give more offense, but to no avail. Suzuki backs her up into the ropes and delivers a knife-edge chop. Again, Suzuki tags out, but tags back in about a minute later, knee to the stomach of Kana, and then runs into the corner to try and boot Marufuji off the apron. But Marufuji enters the ring, kicks Suzuki in the face. Kana took this opportunity to go after a dazed Suzuki, hitting a pair of back fists and a spinning kick that would knock him down for the first time in this match. She tags in Marufuji, and that's the end of that, for now anyways. Marufuji and Suzuki, Meiko and Marufuji, and Kana and Meiko all took turns fighting each other before eventually Kana has Satomura and a cross arm breaker. Suzuki gets back to his corner, but not before kicking the absolute fuck out of the side of Kana's head. Suzuki gets tagged back in, and this is what makes people uncomfortable. By this point, you probably thought that this was relatively rudimentary and not nearly as overblown as you might have heard, but I promise you this shit is going to get about as real looking as you can get. Suzuki enters the ring, Kana's strikes and offense are completely ineffective as she tries to get him down with an armbar. She tries to get him down for presumably an ankle lock, but nothing comes of it. Suzuki has Kana right where he wants her. She tries to backslide, but again, no movement at all. Suzuki has her in the position for a German suplex, but Kana hits Suzuki in around the right thigh / yam bag region and begins to relentlessly kick Suzuki in the face. Kana delivers a headbutt to Suzuki, and he responds with one of the sickest headbutts that I've ever heard in wrestling. Sounds like two coconuts colliding into one another. Suzuki ragdolls Kana into the middle of the ring, slaps the taste out of her mouth, gets on top of her, and proceeds to slap the shit out of her. In the midst of delivering some forearms, Suzuki threw the ref out of the ring like he was a child and proceeded to dish out more forearms to Kana. She's very visibly out of it at this point. Marufuji enters the ring and tries to stop the attack, but gets thrown out of the ring for his troubles. Suzuki keeps kicking Kana in the back and face. Meiko tries to stop herself, but she gets thrown to the side by Suzuki as he continues to beat the ever-living shit out of a virtually unconscious Kana. With very little left in her system, Kana tries to give Suzuki any bit of fight that she can with how little energy she has, but it does not faze Suzuki in the slightest as he grabs her leg, locks her in a knee bar, and holds onto it for a long ass time until Kana somehow gets to the ropes. Despite her leg being destroyed, Kana shoves the official to the side and tries one more time to make an impact on Suzuki. Suzuki hits one strong forearm, locks Kana into the sleeper before setting her up for a gotch-style piledriver. Suzuki goes for the pin and gets the 3 count to finally end this match. I'll talk about the match first briefly, and again, I highly suggest to anyone that they check out this match for themselves in its entirety. The link is in the description. I thought that the match itself was great, and it's honestly one of my favorite mixed tag matches. Personally, I'm a big fan of all 4, so it was honestly bound to do no wrong for me, but the performance of all of them with their different pairings was fantastic from my perspective. Although their names kind of get lost in the whole situation, I enjoyed the Meiko and Marufuji sections of this match thoroughly. Once again, I definitely recommend checking this out after this video in a couple minutes. It's about 23 minutes, but I promise you that you will not feel like your time is wasted. As for the Kana versus Suzuki bits, there really isn't much for me to say that hasn't been said. It was brutal, it was stiff, it had loads of story, and I absolutely loved it in a wrestling context. However, I would never show anybody just becoming a wrestling fan this match. As I talked about in my last video, there are levels of fandom and subjectivity when it comes to what people think makes pro wrestling good or bad. This match would be somewhere in a completely different stratosphere to what anybody else would expect to see. I would show a new or casual fan Invisible Man versus Invisible Stan or almost anything from CMLL before I show them this match. Once again, the match is wonderfully constructed, and kudos to Kana for taking all the offense that she did and even insisting that Suzuki shouldn't go easy on her. Remember, Kana ran this promotion and booked this match down to the T. Suzuki is noted for not wanting to go as hard as he did, but Kana insisted, and the result is one of the most monster performances by a single wrestler in the 2010s in my opinion. If this or intergender wrestling as a whole isn't for you, that's completely fair and I understand your reasoning, but this was subjectively such an incredible spectacle that we will likely never see emulated. It's pretty ironic because it's the nickname of his partner on this night, Meiko Satomura, but Minoru Suzuki truly did feel like the final boss in this setting. As I mentioned earlier, both Kana and Suzuki have moved on with their careers and have gone on to do some really big things. Kana signed with WWE about a year after this, changed her name to Asuka, and became one of the most decorated wrestlers in company history. Suzuki Suzuki, meanwhile, continued to be one of the gatekeepers of Japanese wrestling, winning gold across New Japan, Noah, Tenryu Project, DDT, where he is their current Universal Champion, and even promotions outside of Japan like Rev Pro, where he won the British Heavyweight title, MLW, where he's a former Tag Champion, and even Ring of Honor, where he is a former World Television Champion. While this match isn't the most memorable for either competitor, it'll always be an interesting, well-produced, and thought-provoking piece of history in the sport of professional wrestling that evokes feelings out of people that many other matches can't. I feel like it delivered there. But yeah, that was Kana, Minoru Suzuki, and the most uncomfortable match in wrestling history. What did you think? Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you thought about this video, as I look for all feedback, positive or negative. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you have not already, so you do not miss out on any future videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.